everyone, and welcome to Interlagos in Brazil for the fifth and final round of the 2018.1 South African simGT SprintQ series. A double race format this evening, each race lasting around 19 laps. And we are already 4 minutes into the qualifying session, 11 minutes still to go. And currently it is Reaper Ghostworks Chris Heineke on provisional pole position with a 32.2, which is pretty quick. But expect to see around a 31.9 by the end of qualifying. In fact, Chris Langerfeld just pipped Bashir Jadwat by 1/1000th of a second in the final practice session. So those two are carrying on their battle from Road America in the last South African simGT series round, which saw Bashir Jadwat ultimately winning the Drivers' Championship. And what an opening 3-lap battle that was. Welcome in the. Well, I've got Kat James in the booth with me this evening. Good evening, Kat.
Hello, hello. It's very nice to be here again tonight.
Great to have you back with us.
Good to see Chris Heineke with a top qualifying position so far. He's actually been doing extremely well over the course of the last season. Something we all knew he's very capable of doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Heineke has really improved the last sort of halfway stage through the season as we coming towards the end of the season now. And I would look forward to seeing progress even further. And he's the type of guy that could challenge for the championship next season, 2018.2. That's sort of planned to start in the middle of July.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as many others, it's crazy how close it is. You can just have a look at the lap times at the moment, and the second separates. What is it? It's not too close at the moment, but in the final practice session, it was sort of 11 drivers altogether. So expect those times to close up nicely. Langerfeld abandoning his lap now, watching Leslie Oliphant in the RP Madcap McLaren, currently in third position with a 32.5. He's about to start another flying lap. Let's see what we can come up with now. Jadwat down in 9th, so obviously had an issue. As I said, he's gone provisional pole with a 32.1. Good lap there by Bashir Jadwat. Just pip Heineke by 0.5 of a second, so that's how close it is at the moment. Snubsmine up into 5th position for RP Madcap, followed by Stain in 6th, Calvinace in 7th. Carl Swanepoel in 8th. Swanepoel having a fantastic outing in the last round at Road America in the South African simGT series, our flagship championship. We're watching the SprintQ series now, which is basically a qualifier for that championship. And which will see the top 7 from this round go through to have a good slot in that final South African simGT series round at the Nordschleife, the big circuit, big race that will be. And of course the Drivers' Championship already decided, Bashir Jadwat winning the championship, but the Teams' Championship not just yet decided. So that's definitely between Ghostworks and Redline Racing. But, we focused on the SprintQ series, a completely separate championship in itself. Mark McGear goes 12th with a 34 dead.
We're at a track tonight which provides the drivers with a lot of different challenges. One of which is finding a very nice tight line through the first sector on this track, which sometimes it's not immediately evident, just driving it for the first time, especially with that blind first left-hander after the straight. And then trying to set you up for the exit on the in the right-hander as well as the left-hander onto the straight. It's a very technical section that can make or break a very fast lap time around here. Sometimes even up to and including about half a second can be won in that first sector, which, as we see now, is the difference between first and fourth on the grid. And then there's not to mention the last sector, which is also quite technical, considering that there is a slight lift in the corner that we're watching Chris Heineke go through now, and then a very tight left-hander, and there's a very specific place where you need to get back on the gas after the exit of that corner, just to make sure that you don't lose too much straight line speed around the main straight. If you time your turn in incorrectly, you have to delay yourself getting on the gas again, which has got a major impact on your lap time. So sometimes a driver just needs a bit of luck or a moment of clarity to get that perfect lap time in. Seeing as this track can really punish you when you do get it wrong.
Oh, and as you say that, Chris just
exactly.
He just put I think the right rear on the tires on the grass and just pushed them sideways on the braking. They actually did very well not to spin around there.
In a straight line, you can probably get away with that, but the moment you get into a braking zone, that's the last thing you want to do. There's a reason they prefer braking on tarmac, because braking on grass doesn't go down too well.
Now watch the red line, Mercedes-Benz's line astern with Christopher Langeveld about to start a flying lap. Let's see what he can do here. He's done much quicker lap times than a 32.3, so let's see what he can do. He's got his teammate right behind him for company.
I'm a Nissan boy. I'm sorry. There's way too many Mercedes driving here.
And I can't show any bias, so I won't say anything. But no.
Why do you think I mentioned that?
I have no idea.
I wanted to play off your bias now.
I have no idea. So yeah, Langeveld now up 10th of a second. Let's see what he can do. He's more than that though, but he's just started the lap, of course. He's got, I think it's Adrian Governed and the Red Racing Ferrari in front of him. He's probably not going to move aside because he doesn't have to, because I think he's also on a flying lap. But let's see what happens. Perhaps Langeveld will get a tow from the Ferrari, who knows?
0.4 of a second separating the first 7 drivers. A theme that has been extremely reoccurring over the course of the last 2 seasons.
Absolutely, and it's getting that BOP pretty close, and we're looking to make it even closer for next season, 2018.2. I think this season has been pretty good. We saw Langeveld there having to abandon that lap. Governor wasn't letting him past. He doesn't have to if he's on a flying lap himself, but he did abandon that lap anyway, so that's too bad. And we've just got 2 minutes remaining now. Let's try what originally on pole position. Just a half a 100th of a second ahead of Chris Heineke. So I think Heineke's found something special here at Interlagos. It's great to see him up there. Somebody's been putting a lot of practice in for this race specifically, or he's always a true workhorse in practice, but yeah, it seems to have found something here at Interlagos. Heineke, of course, part of the Reaper Ghostworks outfit, which is the sister team to Ghostworks, Visheja Dwight and Marcus Stain. Chris Heineke and Nazim Edwards in the Reaper Ghostworks outfits. The Swanepoel now is up to 4th. That's better by Carl Swanepoel for Wake Racing. Marcus stayed in 5th. Les Oliphant 6th and Jason Hunsma in 7th. So RP Makeup struggling for pace in the McLaren. Langeveld's teammate Holden is in 8th. Mark Hembry up to 9th. We saw that heartbreaking race for Mark Hembry in the Division 2 race of the South African simGT Series at Road America, which saw him lose the rest on the final corner. Unbelievable. He's back here.
If memory serves me correct, it's Bashir Jadwat and Chris Heineke that's in the Nissans, correct?
Correct.
Well, that can really put the cat amongst the pigeons if this track is conducive to soft tyre racing. Seeing as the Nissan tends to be very, very good on soft tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. Although Redline Racing have found a trick with the soft tyres with the Merc as well. So
that's very good to know.
Yeah. We saw the Redline Mercedes-Benz is actually quicker than the Nissan's outright pace at Road America. It's just as the Jadwat attacked in the opening laps, he was able to keep ahead, and that sort of forced Langeveld into narrow, and off he went. Jadwat won the race.
That's true. The nice thing, of course, is that these are half-an-hour races. So cars that would traditionally not see the halfway mark of an endurance race on soft tyres would now be able to see the 30-minute stint and complete the 30-minute stint on soft tyres quite comfortably. The only problem that I see a track like this will have on soft tyres is there might be specific corners that might overheat the tyres. The load-bearing tyre. I know for a fact that at Mugello, in order to run soft tyres, you needed to run with very, very small camber settings, very limited camber settings, in order to keep the temperatures of the soft tyres in check. On tighter tracks, like this one for instance, I can already see how certain corners can actually impact on tyre temperatures quite negatively. And of course you don't want your tyres to overheat too badly, but you also don't want to run medium tyres, because running medium tyres will see you drop your lap times by about a second minimum. So let's see who's managed to get those setups tweaked to the point where you can actually get away with running your soft tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to seeing how that plays out throughout the race. And we're around a minute to go before the start of the formation lap for race 1 this evening. Of course, race 1 of 2. And all the drivers will be loading their race setups and getting their minds right and focused for the task at hand. And of course, we'll have a rolling start in single file from turn 12, the last tight left-hander, which has got 16 cars in the grid this evening. We look forward to also a second race on Wednesday evening for the second division. But yeah, I think somebody would be extremely happy at the moment is Chris Heineke up into second position. Normally qualifies anything from 5th to 10th position normally, but to find it up into second is fantastic for him and the team.
Like I said, he's been doing phenomenal work. I've actually regularly seen him, you know, run the kind of lap times that should be getting him podiums. And for him to nail the second position on the grid in an extremely strong field, I'm very excited for him. And of course, no bias in pointing out that there's two Nissans in the 1-2 spot. You know, it's like None at all.
Yeah, the two Mercs are right there behind them. You can never count out those pesky McLarens as well, especially the tight sections. But that sort of lose out on the straights. But they just make up for it in the corners. And we're 15 seconds away from the start of the formation lap now.
So just to get this straight, if I don't click on drive, it'll immediately spit me back to the pits.
Yes, and then I'll check that we both off now. I think we just disappeared there. Looks good. Yes, we are both in the pits.
Fantastic.
Getting the basics right. Of course,
That's how we roll.
Judd Watt to lead the field here. Now this is the time when I like to speculate and talk about team dynamics, and you've got Judd Watt in the front for Ghostworks and Chris Heineke in the Reaper Ghostworks car, so the sister teams now, and that Heineke is going to hold up the rest of the field and let Judd Watt disappear. But that's not going to happen, of course. I think Heineke is just going to go for it as well. And
yeah, look, up until about 2 seasons ago, I would have said that, you know, team dynamics played a massive part in deciding the outcome of who wins and by what kind of margin. But I remember a time that myself and Gabriel were racing, and we had a rule in our team where the one that qualified in front, barring an incident, that's the guy that will win, because we're not going to chance an arm by overtaking that person. And it made for extremely dull racing, and for very, very obvious reasons it looked bad. And when we then made that, we actually then made that decision that under no circumstances will we ever do that again. Regardless of the outcome of the race, we will be racing each other, whether or not we're teammates or not. And I think the racing in general was the better for it because of that. The better person won at the end of the season, and I would suggest that anyone worth their salts will be doing the exact same thing here tonight.
absolutely, as we've gotten the race underway, Judd Watt's put the pedal right down, off he goes. Heineke slightly caught out, but it looks like Lagerfeld's under severe pressure from Swanet already for third position. It stands put a move on Oliphant as well down the straight, so the power of the Nissan showing there. Swanepoel overshooting slightly into turn one, not too bad, but already staying up into fifth, using the power of the Nissan to pass the McLaren Oliphant. And yeah, we go down the second straight now, and Lagerfeld pulling out, trying to put pressure on Heineke. Hasn't quite worked out. Oh, we got some action in the background. He's staying, looking to pass Swanepoel as well. Looks like Swanepoel is held up down that straight. And now staying under pressure from Oliphant. To see that agile McLaren now back into its strength now through the twisty bits. Let's go on board with Leslie Oliphant. And he's just made a mistake on that corner, unfortunately. It's cost him dearly, look at that.
If there's one place where Chris Heineke might be a little bit vulnerable, it's going to be at the start of this race. I mean, nerves will play a part. He realizes that he put himself in second position on the grid, and the first 3 or 4 laps is going to be crucial. Keeping it clean, keeping it tight, not making any mistakes, and not giving Christopher Lagerfeld a sniff of passing him. If he can get through the first 3 or 4 laps, he can be on for a podium here tonight.
Mark McGeena putting pressure on Lamprecht. No, it is Lindsay Ray, I think, yes. And make a move stick. And the braking we go. No, he pops out of it. Lindsay Ray survives another corner in that position. Trying to come back at him, but the Nissan's going to pull away. De Kock, Avis and Sparks together at the back, fighting over 14th position. De Kock's made a move. No, he hasn't. He's gone off. Here's that Avis in the Audi, struggling under braking, and around he goes, so he'll drop down to 16th position. Back with our race leader now, Bashir Jadwat, enjoying almost a 2-second lead already over Heineke.
I think Heineke made a small mistake there because he was 1 second behind Bashir Jadwat. There was a 1.2 second difference between himself and Christopher Langeveld, not even half a lap ago. So I think a very small mistake gave Christopher Langeveld a bit of a sniff there.
Front brakes off. Looks like contact with another car by the damage at the back of the McLaren. Government is down to 13th too, so it looks like an issue there between those two cars. Staying in 5th position, used a bit too much of the curve there. And it's down now half a second from Swanepoel. Abismar's stand's fallen down, an error it looks like. It's cost him 3 positions, it might be 4 now as Mark Hemby tries to find a way past on the outside. That's brave. Lindsay Ray watches on it in the background there. Hemby uses a bit of too much of the curve there. Here comes the Mercedes-Benz of Lindsay Ray. It's gone board, Lindsay Ray.
No, I think the Nissan's got the legs down the straight.
Hemby goes defensive pretty aggressively, he cuts across and hugs that pit wall. No position change there. But there's brought Mark Begin to play there, making a 4-way battle as Lindsay Ray goes outside of Hemby. Hemby goes slightly wide. Lindsay Ray goes, thanks very much, I'm through. There goes
That's
Mark
that
McGee as well.
line. That's that compromise line that did that.
Mark McGee now under brakes gets Hemby as well. So yeah, we saw that Hemby just made a mistake sort of 2 corners ago, and it's punished. It's really lost time now, 2 positions. Mark McGee up into the top 10. Good performance so far by the number 69 car.
Of course, I reckon I lost a bit of touch with Bashir Jadwat, but now he's going to have to contend with a Christopher Langeveld that is breathing down his neck.
Absolutely, it's gone board with Langeveld now through turn 1. Already setting yourself up for this corner, and then onto the back straight. Compare the different driving lines of the 2 drivers from Langeveld's perspective. Oh, mistake there by Heineke, but Langeveld does the same thing.
Too much grass. Too much grass.
Oh, Heineke struggling for grip, runs wide there as well.
That can very easily be overheating tires.
Well, it does suggest that the way that he's struggling with the car, yeah, I think you're right. Heineken under severe pressure for second. Langevaart's got better drive now. He'll get in the slipstream of the Nissan. That big Nissan will punch a big hole in there for the Merc to slip through.
Let's see what kind of downforce settings Chris is driving with, because it doesn't look like the Merc is making up enough time.
Oh, Heineken's running a mistake again. Ooh. He's really struggling under brakes, Gert.
Something is suggesting that maybe they are not running with a huge amount of downforce in the Nissan at all. The car seems unsettled under braking. It seems very quick in a straight line, even when cars are supposed to be catching them in the slipstream. But the car seems unsettled under braking and in the corners.
Again.
It's such a fine line.
Oh, he's got contact into the back.
Well saved! Oh. Well saved! But those tires are cooked now.
I'm holding up a 9.5 board for that drift.
Why not 10?
Never be 10. But as we're talking there, Absma has fallen right back to 12th position as well. So a bit of action in the midfield. Well, that bit of excitement was gripping us. And anyway, Heineken survives. Langevaart stays in 3rd position. Swanepoel's caught up to Langevaart, just a second behind him. But Judd Watt's up the road by 5 seconds. He's gone.
That's the nice thing running in front in some races. And also the negative thing about running in front. You miss the opportunity for a big drift, and you miss seeing all the action that occurs behind you, and you're pretty much lonely right up front. But sometimes that's just the price you have to pay for winning races. I bet you Chris is going to remember that drift for a while.
I think so. Holden is starting to put pressure on Hembry now for 9th position. Get back to the Langevaart Heineken battle. It's closed up again. Langevaart's right there, just 0.3 of a second behind him. Carl Swanepoel there watching from 4th position, just behind them.
I'm actually wondering if that Nissan wouldn't have been able to do with just 1 extra degree on that rear wing. It looks like the lack of grip under braking, as well as going into fast corners where the car needs to make or have some fast reactions. It seems as if the car is not settled enough. It's not planted enough on the rear. It's obviously tremendously quick in a straight line.
Lindsay Ray has fallen down. Now what's happened to him? He's down to 9th position, dropping 2 positions. Oh, side by side, Mark Hembry and... Oh, they make contact. What's happened? No, nothing's happened. I was just seeing things. Hembry did fall back a position though. McGear's through. Up into 7th now goes Mark McGear.
Nah, it's all smoke and dust, dude. There was definitely contact there.
So whatever Hembry has done, he saved it.
Four cars extremely close to each other here.
Not Pricks also joining the party there in the grey McLaren.
Four different manufacturers under one blanket. Nissan, Ferrari, Merc, McLaren. Mike McGear overshooting his brake marker.
Henry's going to have a go.
Compromising every single corner thereafter.
Oh, Henry makes a mistake. Here comes Lindsay Ray. Oh, into the batting him. Oh, there's all kinds of sideways there.
Like, thank you very much, sir.
Oh, another contact. No!
Oh, over eager beaver. And another one goes.
That's all happening.
It's carnage.
I'm a bit surprised that Lindsay Ray isn't waiting there for McGear, but perhaps from a different camera angle we might see something different later on. But Mike McGear down to 12th position. Lindsay Ray says thanks very much, I'm up into 7th.
Well, that brings to an end a very nice four-way battle for a while.
We've got another one here happening. Smiles trying to get past Embry. With Jason Upsmeyer. Recovery. From 11th. See how the McLaren gets on with the Ferrari. Doesn't look too bad at the moment in the slipstream. Embry goes nice and defensive.
But here's the thing, I don't think Henneberry is going to give away a position there because of the defensive line that he took. But it would have compromised every single line thereafter.
Yeah.
And this is where things are going to get tricky because he's now having to take another defensive line into the next corner.
Oh, that's one running around the outside, that's brave. Flashing lights and all.
Yeah, like that's going to make someone pull over.
Oh.
Christopher Langeveld within 0.2 of a second on Chris Heineke, 0.3.
Surely the move's gonna come. Let's see, under braking. Oh, Heineke leaves the door open and he cuts across and says, no, not happening. Oh, that was gone. Where's Swanepoel? Swanepoel's nowhere. He should be right there. Come on, Carl, get up there. Give us a race.
Can that Merc now hitch a ride with the Nissan down the straight? Not quite again. I'm telling you that Nissan is short a little bit of downforce.
I think you're right.
It falls away too easy.
I think you're right, because only the Merc can under the Nissan down the straight.
That Merc can't get past on the straight, even in a very, very tight toe, it can't get past, but the Nissan is too squirrely under braking. And the one thing that happens when something like that occurs as well is tire degradation. It just goes too quickly. There's a very fine line between preserving integrity of your car going into a corner and getting out of the corner versus tire degradation.
Oh, Langeveld's got a good drive now.
I don't think that matters.
Yeah.
Watch that Nissan go.
Well, we see Haneke's quick where he needs to be quick down the straights. It's pretty difficult to pass here, so that's another philosophy to look at. But you need to be able to manage the tires though. That's the number one thing.
Well, then maybe there's something to be said to be a little bit more cautious going into the corners, because he's not.
Yeah.
He's not cautious going into the corners.
Oh! Well, you could just do that.
He could theoretically just be on the brakes just a little bit earlier, making sure the car doesn't go squirrely. Don't compromise your lines going into the corner, because there's not going to be a passing opportunity in the tight corners, and then just make use of the straights to stay in front. There's no reason to drive like a bat out of hell going into the corners when your car can't handle those corners as well as the Mercedes.
Yeah, as you're saying, he doesn't need to drive it so hard into the corner. It's difficult to pass here, as long as you position your car well defensively. Langenfeld doesn't really have a chance of getting past. And even if he does, you'll probably be able to get back past him down the main straight anywhere. So,
most probably yes. I will venture a guess and say that Nissan will find it extremely easy to pass the Mercedes when catching a perfect toe than the Mercedes will have on the Nissan. We've seen them trying it now a few times in a row. It didn't work. The Nissan will do it with ease if the roles were reversed.
Look at that, just pulls away.
Chris now needs to be prudent here. Yeah. Get on the brakes earlier. Relax. Get on the brakes earlier and just make sure you make your lines through the first sector.
Better.
Much better. He's forcing the guy behind him to stay exactly where he is. And let's see what happens down the straight. Can he build that lead? Can he build? And it looks like he is. There you go. That's what you need to do.
Absolutely. He's listening to you, Kat. Listening. Oh, another curve there by Langenfeld. Wow, it's pushing hard. He's only got 5 laps remaining, of course, of this first race. But Jadwat's gone 10 seconds in the lead. He's checked out. He's thinking about race 2 already.
Because it's just going to have to relax. Do the basics through the corners. Don't give anything away. Be prudent. Wait for the straights and just keep his nose in front. That's all. And the podium is his for the taking. If he makes any sort of mistake here, the podium can be gone because Carl Swanepoel is within 2 seconds of these two.
Of course, Langenfeld's also thinking about the Drivers' Championship. It's only a couple of points ahead of Jadwat, and the second race goes like this one too. Jadwat will be champion of this championship as well. Langenfeld wants to avoid that if he can, do anything about it.
That's also going to be a test of his character now to see whether or not he can mount a challenge with about, let's say, a lap or 2 to go on Chris Heineke, or whether or not, you know, nerves will get the better of him and maybe even cause a little bit of contact. If it doesn't, it says a lot about the character of the driver.
Absolutely. But Langenfeld's got to be right under Chris Heineke's bumper coming out of that final corner before the long main straight. If he's to have any chance of passing it, he's sitting in the slipstream and one in the slipstream. And even that, I'm not sure it's enough. Just not close enough. All he can do is try and pressure Heineke into a mistake. That's all he can do at this stage. He's not close enough to do that either.
Chris needs to look up, see that there's 3 laps remaining, and not do anything dumb. Hit those brake markers. Forget about the car behind him. And just do the basics right. That's all. And he will have a fantastic finish, a deserving finish. And ever since the last 2 laps, where he started to calm down and, you know, do the basics right, he's actually maintained that gap between himself and Bashir Jadwa. Didn't lose any time to Jadwa at all, and he's maintained the gap to Christopher Langeveld behind him. It is so crucial knowing what you've built the car for. A lot of guys tend to build the setup for the car just to make sure that it doesn't spin under acceleration, just to make sure that the car stays stable in the corner, sort of thing. But they don't know what the setup is capable of. They don't know where to push and where not to.
Perhaps how to drive the setup is what you're saying, yeah?
Exactly. Knowing what the strengths and weaknesses of the car is. If you want to exaggerate the strengths of the Nissan, you want as little as possible downforce on that car to make sure no one even has a sniff of passing you down the straight. But with it comes disadvantages. You have to know that it will compromise corner entry and corner exit. And because of that, you have to be wary of where you brake, when you brake, and how you attack corners. It is not just a matter of jumping in the car and driving around the track and everything will be fine. It doesn't work like that. Not at this level.
And yeah, as you said, I think he's doing a fantastic job. He's got the gap up to 1.7 seconds.
That might be the Mercedes losing a little bit of tires there. You know, tire degradation coming into play.
I think this is going to be a defining drive for Chris Heineke. If we can pull this off, we might actually see a new Chris Heineke after this race. I've got a feeling he's been putting so much effort into it. I think he's found a breakthrough with himself as a driver. And, this is very, very impressive by him.
No, that's very true. I mean, he needed to have a race like this. He absolutely had to have a race like this where he's being pressured from behind and where he needed to come back from nerves getting the better of him. He needed to have that. And he needed to have that slide. He needed to have that Tokyo drift moment. He needed to have that moment that defines himself as a driver going forward. Can I run with the guys up front? And if I can pull this off, can I do it again? This will go a long way in determining that.
Jadwa has started the penultimate lap this evening. That gap's actually come down. Heineke's actually closed it by a second and a bit. So that's interesting. Perhaps Jadwa just turning things down, or maybe that's Heineke's raw pace. I'm not quite sure at this stage.
It might be a combination of both.
Yeah.
Bashir just recognizing that there's no reason to push anymore. Rather securing the win. And Chris Heineke basically saying he's got nothing to lose.
And Swanepoel doing a fine job in 4th position as well. Just holding off the McLaren of Oliphant.
I'm looking at the gaps now. Christopher Langeveld was less than a second behind Chris Heineke, and Carl Swanepoel was less than a second behind Langeveld at the time. Behind Langeveld when Langeveld was putting pressure on Heineke. I have a sneaky suspicion that the Mercedes softs have run down quite substantially, because there's massive gaps now between Heineke, Langeveld and Swanepoel ever since the 16th lap.
And you said that Swanepoel's dropping back towards Oliphant as well. You're watching it battle on the screen, that gap down to under half a second as well. So yeah, you could be right, absolutely.
This is an extremely demanding track on tyres. Even on mediums. Longer race events, but short sprints, softs, very difficult to make it work for the entirety of the race. These corners puts a huge amount of pressure on those load-bearing tires.
Oh, Oliphant, really bad thing with his McLaren through there. 2 big tank slappers, but he gets them back under control.
The mark of a driver.
Absolutely. Car control. And we're watching Bashir Jadwa now complete the final half a lap of the race. And convincing victory for Bashir Jadwa. And this will put him in good stead to take the Drivers' Championship in the second race this evening. I think he It's not quite leading the championship at the moment. I think it's still Langenfeld leading, but if he can pull this off again in the second race, I think the championship will be his. We'll have to do the calculations afterwards. Perhaps I can do it during race 2, depending on how the positions are. Bashir Jadwatu rounds the final corner to take victory of race 1 this evening. So congratulations to him and Ghostworks. A fine drive.
Well done, Bashi.
And a very impressive drive by Chris Haneke to hold off Christopher Langenfeld.
That man, Chris.
Langenfeld completes the podium. And Swanepoel under pressure from Oliphant, but he'll beat Oliphant to 4th position. Good result for him as well. Oliphant 5th, of course. Steyn will get 6th, a lonely 6th. Lindsay Ray will come and cover to 7th after a controversial incident halfway through the race. And Feldenes will follow him in 8th position. Amsma now under pressure from Lamprecht. These two are former sister teammates, I think it was, yeah. But yeah, Amsma will just be there. Wow, very close. And Mark Embry will get 11th. Mark McGeer will get 12th. Govender will beat the Cock to 13th. Sparks.
Glad to see not many DNFs.
No,
if at all.
No, I think is Ever still running? Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
So yes,
No,
got all the finishes.
7
100%. Absolutely fantastic.
Mr. Avers is in the pits, unfortunately.
Okay, we will take a 5 to 8 minute break and then we'll be back for the second qualifying session this evening. Don't go away. Hello, welcome back to Interlagos for the second qualifying session this evening. There's only fun to stay the pits first to get things underway. And, let's see what this session holds for us. Of course, we had Bashir start from pole position to go on and win race 1. Let's see if Chris Heineke or Christopher Langefeld or somebody else can make a change in race 2.
What's definitely going to be interesting is that this qualifying session now has started with a 97% track grip. So the variables kicking in there. Optimal lap times probably not going to be maintained.
Yeah, that's a good point here. We have to see how that grip level develops over the session.
And what might also come to the fore here is people that have set up their cars for optimal track conditions and how that will be maybe hampering them in a 15-minute qualification session where the track is not at optimal condition.
Absolutely. And let's see what Oliphant comes up with. It's that McLaren's pretty twitchy in the corners, so if there's a lack of grip, I think this is the car to show us if there is. Let's see what happens here. Redline racing, Mercedes-Benz in the background there. Oliphant, nice line through that last corner. Car looking good.
Well, having said that, track grip jumped from 97 to 99 inside a lap. Wow. It's now at 100%. At least it is on my screen.
But I can't just stay there for fun, but he keeps it under control. Let's see what he can produce this time round. Oh, he uses a lot of the curb. Cutting that corner as much as he can. Let's see what he can come up with now. 32.6. Langafar with a 32.7.
Bashir going up in provisional pole for the time being.
So here, do you have Judd Watt in provisional pole? Because I don't have him here. Is that?
I do. 32.2.
Interesting. The timing tower hasn't picked it up.
Marcus Stein just went second with a 32.5. Chris Heineke hasn't done a complete qualification lap yet. Looks like he had an out lap, but not quite an in lap yet.
Yes, there's something wrong there with our timing tower. It's not quite recognizing those laps for whatever reason. Heineke,
Chris Heineke!
32.193.
Wow!
And Judd Watt spoils the party with a 32.104.
Things are shaping up for another 1-2 between Bash and Chris.
Still got 10 minutes remaining, but yeah, that's how it looks like for the moment.
The same kind of gap seems to materialize between the front two and the guys behind of about half a second. It's going to be interesting to see who can get close to that 32.1 posted by these two. Marcus Stein with a 32.2, getting right up there, right very early on.
Just a 10th off, just a bit more than a 10th, yeah. Good efforts. Zero goes 8th, Calvin is up to 7th. And Langefeld down in 6th position, he went like that, he wants to be right up there at the top. But currently 6/10 off the pace. Lampred goes 9th. Drops McGear down to 10th. Langefeld, provisional pole at 31.871.
That is insanely quick.
That is insane, yeah. He's thrown the challenge down. He wants to win this race, second race. But Judd Watt and Heineke still have time to do something about it. They've got over 8 minutes. Let's let's stay with Judd Watt now. He's sort of bang on with his best delta at the moment.
So just to be clear, for Bashir to take the championship, he needed to win the second race as well.
I will do those calculations now, yeah. Quickly.
Because if that's the case, Christopher Langeveld has just thrown a massive challenge down.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, in fact, Christopher Langeveld has in fact already won the Drivers' Championship. So Bashir Jadwat can actually not do anything about it. Even if Langeveld does come 16th and last in this race, he doesn't have points in hand to win the Drivers' Championship. So congratulations to Christopher Langeveld.
Well,
He's
fantastic.
the 2018.1 South African simGT SprintQ Drivers' Champion. So
That's fantastic.
absolutely. So congratulations to Chris Langeveld, and I think it's his only second season at SimRace, and winning in such a competitive championship is really quite something. So congratulations to him.
Leslie Oliphant briefly had a sniff at a third position. Then Chris Heineke said, nope, I'll be having that back, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Look how close the times are. Unbelievable.
Sometimes for the first race just serves as a sighter for everyone. Well, where am I exactly in this field? And how much more do I need to push to get up further? Because considering the qualification times for the second position in the first race, there's now 4 drivers under that time from the previous race.
That's development, it's all practice. As we say here, the more you practice, the more your times come down. And you can view sort of the first race as practice for the second race, of course. So, there we go. And by the looks of things, it looks like Ghostworks has wrapped up the Teams Championship in SprintQ. Red line looks to be too far behind. I will confirm that though, but from what I can see, it looks like Ghostworks have won the Teams Championship too, so congratulations to Ghostworks.
Whoa! And Hennebury do a bit of a, like a 720 or a 1080 at the back there. Proud of my math prowess. I can count in 360s.
But yeah, Langefeld in a class of his own here in this qualifying session.
It is just such a psychological barrier. It's like so close but yet so far, and it looks like a massive gulf from 31 to 32. The time itself might be extremely close, but it's just that psychological edge. Like, I'm the one under 32. I'm the one in pole. Come get me.
Yeah, I have a problem with myself if I get into sort of a pole position situation. I feel like I've got a target on my back, and that's something that I need to change my mindset about, and rather have it like what you said now, Gert, sort of come and get me attitude, rather than please don't come and get me.
It's a difficult mindset to break out of.
It is. I still struggle with it.
I remember in my first season at SimRace South Africa, I was quite happy to take the back seat to someone like Boyd Bryson. That was my teammate. Giving up certain positions in order to let him through, to have the clean run, the clean air, that sort of thing, in order to aid in his championship. Not that I believe that it would have been completely necessary, because he would have been able to pass me anyway on his own steam. But I was happy to do it at those times, because I knew that I was green, I had a lot to learn, and I was fighting my own battle in the amateur championship.
Yeah.
And in my second season only did I come into my own, where I knew that I could run with the big boys. I knew that if I put in the work, if I put in those qualification times, that I'm the one telling everyone, come get me. And sometimes it's just a matter of straightening out your shoulders, pulling it back, standing up straight and telling people, I'm here. Come get me if you want.
Yeah.
And there's so many drivers in the SimRace South Africa fold that's got that capability of doing that. There's so many. There's at least 10 that I can think of off the top of my head right now. At least 10 that's got that capability of standing up straight and telling people, no, not today.
This is my house.
Exactly. I paid the rates and taxes.
Okay, well, that concludes the second qualifying session this evening, and it is Christopher Langefeld who's thrown down the gauntlet and said, come and get me for the second race. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see the two Nissans try and chase him down with that superior straight line performance. Or will we see some setup changes there by the Nissan or the Mercedes-Benz to counter what they saw in race 1? Judd Watt is behind Langefeld. He needs to find a way past him. He can't just drive away at the front. And from what we saw at Road America, a frantic battle between Langefeld and Judd Watt. I think we can expect more of the same in this race, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to. And as everyone just drops into position on the grid. And we've got Langefeld from Judd Watt from Heineke. And then we've got the two RP Madcape McLarens right there as well. So Very similar qualifying results that we had from the first qualifying session, just basically pole position and third position swapping around. And, yeah, very strong midfield as well. And we're just a minute away from the start of the formation lap here at Interlagos in Brazil, of course. Of course, Interlagos, that famous part of that famous scene which saw Lewis Hamilton win his first championship, and saw Felipe Massa champion for around, I think it was 20 seconds or something like that, before Hamilton actually in fact crossed the line to take the championship. And now we focus on the final race of the 2018.1 South African simGT SprintQ series, and it's been a fantastic championship. As a qualifier for the main South African simGT Series Championship. And yeah, it's sort of a sprint format to mix things up a bit. It was meant to be a reverse grid starting second races this season, but that unfortunately didn't work out with the Assetto Corsa for whatever reason. But here we go. Langefeld will now lead the field around the formation lap. The commentator cars off the grid. Davis in the pits for whatever reason. Perhaps he's got issues, or he didn't make the grid in time. But he should have time to rejoin the grid before they start the race if he is quick enough.
Chris Langeveld now having the opportunity to take the guys out on a formation lap around Interlagos. Let's see if he can keep that loud pedal under control coming out of that final corner. Get a good drive out of that corner. Keep the Nissans behind, because this is now going to be interesting. Because unless he's changed something on the car to impact on the amount of downforce he's got on the Merc, those two Nissans behind him is going to be screaming at him going down the straights.
I tell you what, if Langeveld doesn't get a good start, Jadwat will be next to me to turn one. I'm certain.
It's going to be so interesting. Hold on to your heads, boys. This is going to be interesting.
Don't take each other out, please.
Not now.
Just wanted to say it, just to avoid any commentator cursing while we watch them.
I think you just cursed them by saying it.
Well, I hope I did the reverse. Because Heineken will be there to pick up the pieces, of course, if he's not involved. Oh, we're very close together now. Through the speed up point we go, and off we go. Oh, Jadwat's with him. No, I think Jadwat's going to be with him. It's kind borders for sure, Jadwat. Down the main straight we go for the first time. He's got to run him.
Here we go.
Defensive.
Oh, here we go. Straight line grunt, you.
And they're braking now. Langeveld's got the inside. Jadwat's going to go around the outside if he can. You have the inside for the next corner if he can make it stick. Yes, he does. Oh, they're going to come together. Langeveld's into the wall. Langeveld's into the wall. Now under pressure from Leslie Oliphant. He goes up there. Oh, he's hit the barrier. What's happened to Oliphant? Oh, three abreast on the back straight. They're scrambling for position. This is going to end in chaos, I think. Oh, we got, who's this? Langeveld up the inside. Whoa, what happened there? Wow. Oh, Langeveld's off. Who's that? Yeah, Langeveld's off into the wall. Damn it, Cat, why did I say that? Anyway, Jadwat's into the front. He's got a lead. Osmar in to second. Osmar, I can't believe his luck. But,
I told you you jinxed it. There were four wide coming down that straight.
You commentator's curse is a thing. It is a thing.
It's a real thing.
Empirical evidence, everyone. There we go. On the live stream. So, Heineken now still into third. How did he stay into third? I don't know how did that happen. Anyways, in third. Holden-Jones up into fourth position with an impressive move on Oliphant. And Langeveld down in 13th. Langeveld just needs to finish this race and we'll have the Drivers' Championship.
look, not to take anything away from anyone in that opening first sector of the race, but it's going to be interesting to review that incident though, where Bashir and Langeveld made contact. It's not as clear cut as you may think. It's going to be a very difficult review then.
Let's go battle hunting. Who's close together? It's these two, Langeveld and Govender. So these things does not feel the damage is too bad in the Mercedes-Benz, although it's difficult to tell in a Senna Corsa. Oh, Langeveld up the inside. Govender submits pretty easily. Langeveld up into 12th. Next up for Langeveld is the clock, 1.5 seconds up the road. Oh, a bit of contact.
That's the disadvantage of being at the back of the pack. Unfortunately, you're going to be driving with cars that every now and again might give you a bit of a love tap.
Yeah, we've now got a train forming. You can call it the Absma train for second position. And I think Heineke is going to be running with that McLaren into turn 1. Let's see the difference here between the straight line performance, where the McLaren does lack. Here comes Heineke, it's got the running. Absma goes defensive. This might be able to break him though. No, Heineke goes around the outside. Heineke's... Oh, they're going to make contact! Oh, around goes Absma. Similar incident what we saw with Langeveld and Jadwat.
I don't think that was Heineke's issue, that though, unfortunately.
No, I think there was enough space for both cars.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's how the first incident will be reviewed as well, I think. Absma down to 8th, so he's gone from, I think it was 5th to 2nd, and then down to 8th. So another action for Absma.
Straight line speed of the Nissan down here at Interlagos has basically shown itself to be extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Yes!
Or the team's gone with too much wing for the circuit. That's the other thing to consider. We don't know.
Exactly. One-off lap time seems to be very close to each other, but mainly because most cars that just put a lot of wing on there are finding the benefits of it in about 2/3 of the track. The Nissan making up all of that and more in the other third of the track.
Yeah, that's the difference between practical pace and unpractical pace. Where do you want it to be?
We've even seen that in international races that you know, you can be as fast as you want to be in the corners, but if your overall lap time is about 0.2 of a second slower than the front runners, you better bet your bottom dollar that you will be a sitting duck down the straights, because you will definitely be running way too much wing. We have seen that in the past. And in the past at Sim Race South Africa, when your top 10 was split by up to and including, let's say, 2 seconds, it wouldn't have been as visible a problem to overcome at the time, because you would have had the legs on someone anyway to overcome that shortcoming in your car. But right now, oh my word!
Whoa, big time slapper, it's too much curve.
Right. But right now, with the skill levels where it's at right now, with the amount of drivers that can run within a second of each other, let's say in the top 10 of any given race, that kind of issue can become a glaring problem to overcome.
So we've got Steyn battling with Swanepoel for 5th position. Looks like 110 spinals. Let's stay with Marcus Steyn. The run of Swanepoel, Weaver going to braking. Yes, he will. Look at that. And Swanepoel is going to have to submit. He keeps around the outer, keeps it planted, goes wide. Swanepoel's still in front. Oh, side to side nicely. Steyn's got the run though. But Swanepoel's got the right side of the track for the next corner. Oh, Steyn loses it by himself. I don't think there was contact there, from what I saw.
No, I didn't see any contact either.
Yeah. Nice,
it was just a prolonged period of time of running side by side. Someone was going to run out of track at some point.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, there's a slight bump on that corner as well, which can unsettle the car if you run too wide. So I think that's what that was. Oh, Lindsay Ray again with a mistake, cuts back in front of De Kock with dirty tyres. He's going to have to be careful, he's going to go around De Kock to try and avoid him. De Kock has to get him off the throttle. They won't get past that Merc before turn 1, that's for sure.
The Merc should have the legs on the Macca down the straight here. Should.
Yeah.
Should.
Victor should be in the slipstream there. No, he took him too much time there. Should be following right behind him. Whoa! Oh.
That's my word. What's going on here?
Savage. Train is developed here. The Swanepoel train. That blanket's about 1.5 seconds long there, Kat.
Yes, the proverbial blanket. Marcus Steyn, Jason Absmeyer, Mark Henneberry, Kyle Swanepoel. If I'm Kyle, I would not feel safe right now with the caliber of drivers that's currently sitting on my tailpipe.
Well, Swanepoel needs to leave them in his wake. He drives for wake racing.
Badum-dish.
Steyn challenging Osmai now.
If Steyn is driving with a similar kind of setup that Bashir and Chris Heideke is driving with right now, which I believe to be quite similar from what I've seen, then Marcus Steyn should be patient and he should be able to take Jason Absmeyer down the straight. But he's going to have to set himself up for that straight well in advance, 2 corners prior, making sure that he gets the entry and exit to those corners done perfect. Get off the gas early going into the final corner, get an early apex and get on the gas hard. That's how you're going to get past Jason Absmeyer down the straight. He's going to have to be awake for it. You can't just sit there and hope for it to happen. He's going to have to make it happen.
Yeah. You see, Absmeyer getting the drive of that corner and the cramps disappeared. That's the strength of the car. But this is where the Nissan comes into its own. Let's see what happens now.
Try and stay in that toe of the car. Stay there, stay there, stay there. He's making up the time, but he's going to have to try and get a little bit closer. He's basically on the cusp of another straight here.
Oh,
he's going to have to try and make it work.
This going to be all over him. Side by side now. Into the left-hander. This man's gonna go super on the outside. It's brave, he runs wide.
Oh, my word!
Oh!
What is happening?
Play nice, guys, play nice, play nice. So the hip and shoulder there by Stain. Osman is coming back at him.
That was now the proverbial two dogs fighting over a bone, the third one coming along and stealing it.
I wouldn't have liked that too much, that's for sure. Staying having a go at Embry now. Embry making a slight mistake here again. He's really battling with turn 2 is Mark Embry. Stain's going to run him around the outside. I think that Nissan will be able to out-drag the Ferrari down that straight now. So Embry will try and break him if he can. No, he can't quite do it. So Stain's taken 2 positions, one rather forcefully. Osman looking for a way back. Past Embry. Oh, Osman's gone for the move. Nicely done. Up the inside.
I just had someone in YouTube chat ask, is this real life or is this a game? Osman telling him, no, it's a simulator. It's a game is Need for Speed.
Use those words carefully. Looking at rather sensitive.
We don't game here, boys. This is more important than gaming.
This shit's real. So, yeah, Henry's in 8th now. He's 4/10 behind Abismaier. Henry's got a run on Abismaier now. Let's see what he can do with it. On board with him.
Another thing to keep in mind here, all those punts would have left some marks on these cars, and any mark on these cars tend to make them a little bit slower in the straight line. So now all of a sudden, the advantages you thought you had going down the straight is maybe equalized. It's basically become negligible to the cars behind and in front of you. Christopher Langeveld doing a good job fighting back from the back of the pack, currently sitting in 9th position. Hoping to put a move on Mark Henneberry inside the next lap or so. And if he can get past Mark Henneberry, there's every chance that he can get himself into a 6th or 5th position by the end of the race. But that means having a flawless race from here on out and making most of every passing opportunity that comes his way.
I'll tell you what, Oliver's ringing the neck of the McLaren to keep it in 3rd position. It's such a deficit in straight line performance. Very impressive. Only 1.7 seconds behind Heineke.
Things settling down a slight tad now. Closest battle seems to be between Jason Absmeyer and Marcus Stein.
Yeah, then we also got the Henry Langerfeld battle as well. Just
oh yes, of course.
So let's keep an eye on these two battles. That's interesting. We've got 7 laps remaining.
Christopher Langerfeld and Mark Henneberry seems to be going down that straight now. If Chris Langerfeld plays his cards right, he could be in front by the end of the straight. 0.2 of a second now. Should be 0.1 in a minute. Yes, it is. Can he get past? Oh, Henneberry going very defensive, but that's going to compromise both entry and exit lines on these 2 corners. Something that the Merc can capitalize on by the end of this straight.
Defensive early on. Langerfeld has a cheeky look at the inside.
Oh, those wheels on the grass is going to hurt him now.
Ferrari very good through the slow corner as well. Look at that. Leaving the Merc behind. Oh, someone's off.
That one went off,
that
Mr.
is,
Sparks.
Yeah. He's turning 15th.
Oh, Mark Henneberry, bit of a tank slapper.
Pushing very hard. Look how the Ferrari moves away in the fast left-hander. Wow. Oh, mistaken by Henry. Yeah, and runs wide.
Oh, and he put a wheel on the grass. This might hurt him.
Let's see.
Just not enough straight to catch him.
Oh, he's going for it.
I think that was more symbolic than anything. Oh, it's going to happen now. This is going to happen. Oh. Showing his intent. Oh, that's a no! Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Little bit too ambitious.
Just a bit too aggressive.
I call that the Lance Garacino dive bomb. I've seen him do it. Don't make me show you.
Love you, Lance.
Hey man, I'm mates with Lance now. I'm mates with Lance. I can joke about it.
So Langerfeld, we've got Henry behind Langerfeld there as well. I think Langerfeld is just a bit too late on the brakes from what I can see.
It looks like it, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it almost looked like a deliberate late on the brake kind of thing, just to try and see if he can't get his nose into that corner before Henneberry and maybe force Henneberry to stay wide. But unfortunately, by the time that he got his nose in there, Henneberry was already into the turn. And it's impossible to bail out of a turn like that. These cars aren't set up to make 2 distinct movements going into a corner.
Jonathan Bass is commenting in the YouTube live chat that was quite a bit too desperate there, so I tend to agree with him there. The move wasn't really on. But there we have it. This is the next battle to watch now. This is Osmar and Stein. We were just half a second apart. So Osmar really trying to push that hard through the corners. Jadwat only 5.6 seconds in the lead for S2. And Nick has moved away from Olive, but now that gap's up to 2 seconds. And Langeveld now 0.8 of a second behind McGear, so that'll also be another battle to watch.
I actually find that quite intriguing, that our broadcast of these races can be so professional looking that someone just dropping into our broadcast can believe that this looks like the real thing.
Yeah, absolutely, it's fantastic.
I like it.
I like it. And yeah, when we're looking at moving over to Sella Corsa Competizione, and from 2019, if we can use that, that would be great for what we're doing here, and that's looking to be even more realistic.
I'm not gonna lie, if we can get similar kind of broadcasts out of that thing, yeah. My word, that's gonna look so pretty.
Absolutely, yeah. We might have to upgrade the old broadcast machine, but yeah, if that's what needs to be done, then we'll do it. So, yeah, so the promise of night racing with rain, it's very exciting. And,
upgrading the internet machines.
And the possibility of driver swaps too, which could be interesting, if we do go that way, we'll see. Yeah, very much looking forward to it. Apparently it will be coming early access in on Steam from, I think it's June or July or something like that. We'll get the first version of it. And of course that is the official Blancpain GT Series game, licensed. And it's promising to have all the cars in Blancpain GT, all the tracks, and type of weather, of course. And an advanced version of what we're using today, so I'm very excited about that. Unreal 4 engine, of course, for the graphics, should look incredible.
I'm pretty sure they needed to move it over to that kind of engine in order to make the weather effects and the day-night effects work properly, because apart from either building your own engine to make that kind of thing work, or licensing from an older sim like something like a R Factor 2 or a R Factor or something, that was never going to be on.
Yeah.
So they obviously needed to make a specific engine work for that sort of thing, seeing as the one that they were on were not quite up to scratch for it, because if it was, we would have had that kind of thing by now.
Yeah. Well, basically this is the engine that Kunos made themselves for Assetto Corsa, and they only had sort of like one light source, so that was the problem with the lights.
There you go.
Application, so that's what they moved over.
So rather than just have that one light source dim, we can actually now have sunsets in Unreal Engine.
Yeah. So Lindsay Ray now has caught up to Hembry. That gap's only half a second. But we're on the penultimate lap for the moment. Jadwat leading by 6 seconds, looking to make a double victory this evening. It won't be enough to take the Drivers' Championship. That's already been on to Christopher Langeveld. And of course, extending Jadwat and extending the Ghostworks lead in the Teams Championship to win the championship ultimately. See what Lindsay Ray can do about Hembry now. Here comes Lindsay Ray, he's got to run him in the slipstream. Hembry goes defensive, of course. by side into turn 1. Lindsay Ray's gonna. Oh no, it doesn't quite work out.
So much touching
now. Let's see. No, I don't think he's close enough. Bashir Jadwat rounds the final corner to make it a double victory this evening at Interlagos. Congratulations to him. And Chris Heineke will get another very good second position. Great job by him as well. Ollie Fant will complete the podium in the McLaren, very impressive drive. Holden-Jones will get 4th position. Swanepoel will get 5th. And Stan will cross the line to give Ghostworks the team's championship in SprintQ. Congratulations to him and Bashir Jadwat, great work.
Absolutely, congratulations.
Will come through to get 7th. Langefeld will cross the line and he is the 2018 South African simGT SprintQ Series champion, drivers champion. Congratulations to him once again, awesome season. McGear will get 9th and Hembry will just beat Lindsay Ray to 10th position. Very close. And Lamprecht will get 12th. Government 13th. And De Kock will get 14th in the second race. I think it is. Second or third race. And Sparks are under the field in 15th position. Well, that concludes the 5th and final run of the 2018.1 South African simGT SprintQ series. Thank you very much for joining me, Gert. It's been a pleasure.
As always, yes, absolutely.
Great stuff.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And in 2 weeks' time, I think it is, or is it 3 weeks' time? I think it is, in fact, 3 weeks' time. We've got the final round of the South African simGP series at Spa. So looking forward to that one, and then that following week is the final round of the South African simGT series to round up the season for 2018.1. Well, thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and until then, all the best. Goodbye.
Ciao, ciao.